Hey, what's going on YouTube? Parrish Plays here. Got a new one for you today. This one's going to be what am I sending to PSA? Again, purpose of my channel, I'm not trying to influence you to do anything, but full transparency. I'm just here to show you what I'm doing exactly as I'm doing it. I don't have a secret play in my back corner here that I'm going to be sending right after this that has stuff that I won't share with you guys. I'm open and honest, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing. And again, I mentioned in my last video, PSA is grading harder for sure, but one thing about me is I'm trying to be consistent. I think one of the big things that helps people in success in life is just showing up and being consistent. So that's kind of what I'm doing. While a lot of people are moving to sealed product, I'm going to keep doing these grading plays and kind of see how they go. I'll get into that a little bit more as we go. Starting off here, Serena. Beautiful card. I love the rainbow card, but this thing has two things going for it working against it negatively, and that is that it's a trainer card and it's rainbow rare. People don't love trainer cards. People don't love rainbow rares, so this one's getting hurt. But I pulled this one from Silver Tempest, just degenerately ripping some packs, and look good. So I figure trainer cards or rainbow cards, with the way things spike up recently, maybe one day this will get caught up in some buyout and I can sell it then into the hype. But again, beautiful card. I collect things that I like. I think this is a really cool card, so I'll grade it and kind of see how it goes. This Pikachu VMAX, I still love these. Again, you'll see I'm a sucker for gold cards, and the trainer gallery cards, these are just so cheap. In fact, they've gone up a little bit in price, but I'm trying to just stay consistent, and I think popular Pokemon in unique art styles will do very well. I do think the VMAX is one of my favorite gimmicks, not in the competitive game, but on the Pokemon card it works very well just because it's, you know, big Pokemon, so it looks pretty cool. So I bought a bunch of these. This is my only one that looked gradable, so we'll send that in, see how it goes. Celebrations is my bread and butter. As you guys know, I love Celebrations, and this card is one of the top cards. With Celebrations promos doing what they're doing recently, I think Celebrations could kind of follow suit all these other cards. So that's just my hope, is that I kind of catch this right, time this right, where these are still pretty cheap cards. And it's a shiny Mew gold card from Celebrations. Like, I think this card's a no-brainer that it will eventually go up, but it really hasn't in the 5 years that I've been grading these. And the problem with some of these is I've been turning them so quickly that, you know, I get these back and sell them, and then a buyout happens and I'm too late, and my cards, you know, I sold it for say 50, 60 bucks, when now the buyout happens and they're worth 150, 200, and I missed it. So that's kind of the whole point of this. I'm just trying to stay ahead of things and keep things moving. I do think with, I did mention, again, nothing special about these. You guys know the Celebrations cards that I grade. But I do think that with PSA being harder on their grading standards, and the turnaround times being so slow, I mean, it's like 3 to 4 months to get these back. And on average, a good return or a good margin on these is typically like 20%. If I can get 20% on these cards, I'm pretty happy with that from a PSA return. And unfortunately, the last year, that 20% has been losing to people just doing standard sealed investing. And I think the sealed investors are really, you know, obviously loving that. They're doing victory laps all over YouTube. But in my opinion, that's got to change eventually. And maybe I'm wrong, you know, it might not, but in my opinion, I want to keep doing what I'm doing here rather than trying to chase the next thing, which is, you know, buying booster boxes at $250 to $300 a booster box and stocking those away, assuming they're going to go up at the same rate they have been previously and can keep beating grading. Eventually, I think the pendulum's got to swing the other way. If people stop grading so much because it's taking longer, because it's harder to get those 10s, then the 10s might have the higher premium. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Maybe I'll miss the market, maybe I'll lag, but again, diversify with everything you do. I do have some sealed investments, and if I'm wrong with these speculative plays, the sealed investments will do well. So that's kind of how I play it. I just spread my Poke dollars out, my collection dollars out, so I'm doing a little bit of everything. So I might not hit it big, you know, on one thing, but again, back to my video last week, it's about having fun, and I really do enjoy the grading process, as much as my grading returns might not seem like it recently because PSA has been smoking me. This new card's been going up. Again, I don't like to chase. Unfortunately, with Crown Zenith, you're kind of chasing a little bit because these cards have gone up so much. They had a huge spike last year, I think October, November-ish, so last year right before the holidays. And then they came down a little bit, but they're still higher than they were probably a year ago, so there's still room for these to come down, I'm sure. But with Crown Zenith going out of print, you got to think these singles will go up eventually. The problem is there's so much Crown Zenith in circulation that, again, all the rip and shippers, Crown Zenith just continues to be open, so there's more and more of these cards being shown up every day, more going to be graded, more, and that's the problem with the grading plays, is that it is really hard to speculate on the cards. But I do think these cards are just beautiful and will be desired eventually in the future. My theory and kind of strategy with with what cards I send to PSA is really I try to buy cards from out of print or close to out of print sets. So I like going a year and a half, 2 years old. Again, you'll see a lot of Crown Zenith, a lot of 151, a lot of Celebrations. I want to get cards at their bottom and then sell those on the other end, rather than trying to grade, you know, all the modern new stuff from Destined Rivals that people brag about, high PSA 10 sales. The problem with those is you're buying the cards when they're high, the single cards are going to go down, and then on the other end, as they're getting sold, those cards are going down too. So I try to pick up cards that I think are undervalued, like this Charizard, and sell them into a market on its way up. But unfortunately, again, with graded cards, there's only more and more in circulation, so I'm kind of at the whim of the market. You know, people don't like Charizard right now. It's kind of cool to hate on Charizard, so all of the Charizard cards have been going down. And in fact, next month's submission, I might do a Charizard-only submission, because I think with Charizard getting hammered right now, I think it's a great time to be picking these up. A lot of these cards have dropped from their all-time highs. They're super old cards, and when the Mega Charizard set comes out, who knows? Everyone could go back and start loving Charizard again, and the pendulum could again swing back the other way, and Charizard could be in people's favor again. So I love picking up old cards that are kind of either forgotten about or not in the radar. You'll notice I'm not sending a ton of promo cards like these next two. And the reason is because, again, I just don't like chasing. Especially now with PSA taking as long as they do. I mean, 3 to 4 months without these cards, and there's no telling. I mean, these could drop 50, 60, 70%, some of these promos that have gone crazy recently. I mean, these are probably $8 to $10 cards, which doesn't seem like a lot, but 6 months ago they were what, $3, $2? So I could see them going back. And if I bought them at 6 and that goes down to 2, that's a huge loss, you know. And if they don't grade 10s, the 9s aren't worth anything, unfortunately. So you're going to be losing money on both ends, with the card going down in general and just missing. So I'm trying not to chase the trends. Instead, like I said, trying to pick out popular Pokemon with undervalued cards that I think will do well in a 10. This one's a fun one. I like this card. This came from the new Charizard lenticular box. I wish this card was lenticular, but it's not. But it is a unique art. And one of my goals for the Scarlet and Violet era is to try to get every Charizard card in a PSA 10. And this card looked like it had a good enough shot. Again, it's a little bit off-centered back here, but you got to take your shot. For a promo card, I mean, it looked pretty good. The corners were real nice on this thing. So there's definitely a chance. Old PSA, I would say definitely. This one's fun. This was I pulled this from a 151 God Pack. Again, I'm still buying Blooming Waters. And when you get those boxes, I'm actually breaking them down because the boxes are too big to store. I'd prefer to just keep them in a 5-row. And sometimes it's too easy when you're breaking down those boxes. Just open a pack or two here or there. And this happened to be in one of the packs that I opened. So amazing luck on that. Sometimes it pays to be a degenerate. But then on the other side of that, we opened a ton of packs for my birthday and got smoked. So definitely on the losing end of opening. But this was one of the cooler openings that we had. Not all of these looked 10 worthy. In fact, I think only the War Turtle looked good enough, honestly. But because I pulled these, why not send them? You know, your cost basis is low enough that it doesn't matter. These two I bought for grading. Again, 151 I think is pretty cheap right now. This Charizard card looks like one of the cleanest Charizard cards I've ever seen. So if this doesn't get a 10, I will A, be upset, but B, be cracking it, you know, unless it gets damaged or something at PSA. But this card looked absolutely beautiful. I'll be shocked if this doesn't get a 10. So super excited to have that one, because I still need the big three from 151 in my collection. I've had them all at one point, but again, with cards, graded cards in particular, doing what they're doing, I just couldn't justify keeping those in my possession. When, you know, you look at something like a Champion's Path PSA 10 Charizard that's way harder to pull than the 151 Charizard. That card's like, I don't know, $275, $300 in a PSA 10. This is like $700, $600 in a PSA 10. I think I sold mine for somewhere around $650. That's twice as much for a card that's easier to pull, arguably. I know this card's way cooler than that Charizard, people will say, but I don't know. I just think PSA cards right now are in a crazy bubble, and so I'm trying to sell off most of what I get here. With one caveat being, you know, if I think card is undervalued like this, I think it's super cheap in a 10, I'll just stock it away and hold on to it, again, until Charizard or gold cards pop off. You got 2 chances with this, and this card's like $20 raw, which is insane to me, because, again, gold card, Charizard, kids love both of those things, so I think this will be a really cool card in the future. Goldango, this was one I bought for my personal collection, and then it just looked clean enough and cool enough that I think it'd be worth grading. I doubt there's much value here with this guy, but I do really like this card. These next ones, again, personal collection here, the Japanese Magikarp. I love this card, obviously, and I'm kicking myself because I graded a few of these when Paldea Evolved first came out and got like an 8 or something because this card's notoriously hard to grade in English, and I just sold it off for whatever I could, and now, of course, it's like a $250 card raw, so I should have held on to that one. But you live and you learn, and the way I learn, I guess, is by buying it in Japanese. Card is super cheap in Japanese, maybe like 50 bucks, when the English copy is 250. So I do love this card, love the art. So if there's a choice between having it for $50 or $250, that choice is pretty easy for me. So hopefully grade this one. It's definitely off-centered, but I've seen worse off-centered cards get 10s, and Japanese grades pretty well. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe I can get lucky, knock a 10 on that. But that one will be going to the personal collection. I'm not one to really care about having both Japanese and English in my collection. I think they both look good. I have Japanese cards from my childhood, actually, that I bought, you know, back when the Neo sets were first coming out in Japan, and I couldn't get them in English, so I'd buy them in Japanese. So I don't mind that having a mix-up like that, especially with that kind of price difference. I would gladly pay $50 for this instead of $250, just because it's in a different language. The card's the exact same. All of these I ripped on my birthday. Again, I opened a box of Shiny Treasure V and a box of Terrestrial Festival. Didn't have any luck except for this Master Ball Espeon. This thing is probably the hit of the box. Beautiful card. All the rest, these are just, you know, popular Pokemon in EX, not worth grading, especially now with Japanese doing the grading like they're doing. But popular Pokemon, I like having those in the store. It makes it nice to have something on my eBay that's a little bit cheaper. So especially popular Pokemon, even those EXs, and even in Japanese sell. The biggest issue right now with Japanese is they open PSA. You can send right to PSA from Japan, which makes it much easier for the Japanese community to grade their own cards. And for that reason, the market for us US people to grade Japanese cards is really dried up, and it's very, very hard. Obviously, these are, you know, cheap cards. If you go to Japan, you could probably find this for like 50 cents to $1 maybe. And then if you're in Japan and grading it, it's much cheaper. So they can get into these cards for like 20 bucks, sell them for 25 and still make some sort of profit, whereas I can't sell them that low, especially with PSA grading costs where they're at. But it's still nice to have those on there. Popular Pokemon, some people still buy them. They like getting them from an American seller with such good feedback to get it shipped out next day. These two, again, beautiful cards. I pulled this one, again, like I mentioned, on Family Vacation, which is a fun little memory. And then this one I bought, same thing. I'm not pulling that Umbreon. There's no chance I'm getting it from Prismatic, so I'd rather buy it here for $200 rather than $1,000 in English. So that's just my opinion. I hope this gets a 10 because we pulled the Umbreon Evolving Skies, and I want those two next to each other, which I think would be really cool. So again, I don't mind having it in Japanese. This was the hit, or my two hits of Terrestrial Festival. Not the evolutions we're looking for, but the Lacey's pretty cool. So especially Japanese trainers usually do okay, so we'll send both of those. Full art shiny, not the greatest, but it is a starter, so I will definitely take that. I've gotten a full art shiny of Clodsire before from my box of Shiny Treasure, so I'll definitely take this over that guy. And then my baby shinies were actually really good. I liked Tinkaton, was one of my favorites. I used her in my playthrough. Weavile's a classic, and then everyone's gotta love the Wiglet. What a weird Pokemon and a weird shiny, but as far as baby shiny goes, pretty good. Could have been better, could have been worse. Oh, and then the final card is I actually opened a collector booster box of Final Fantasy, which was expensive. I had to pay a little bit more, but it was my birthday, so I opened one pack, and Final Fantasy X is my favorite video game of all time, so I was so happy to pull this card. And for the memory of that, I will get this graded. This will stay in my personal collection forever. I loved the Final Fantasy Magic Gathering set. I haven't opened Magic ever. I haven't opened Magic forever. My brother played it when he was young, and so I would play with him some decks, but I never opened any packs or anything like that. But Final Fantasy was enough to get me back. So I'll grade this card. Hopefully it comes back at 10, and then I'll keep it forever. It looks pretty clean, so very happy with that pull. So that's all I've got. That's what I will be sending in for PSA. Again, I'll have another video over there to the side that has instructions on how to send with PSA yourself if you are interested. But again, I'm trying to stay consistent. One submission a month, about 25 to 50 cards, and just try to ride the wave, see where it goes. If everyone else stops doing it because PSA is grading harder, I'm still making money with it. It's not as much money as I would like, but again, I think if I stay consistent, keep building up the inventory, what I've been doing so far is working. So there are pros and cons to pivoting and all that stuff, but I'll just keep doing what I'm doing and kind of see how it plays out from here. It's something to do while your money, well, there's not many good investing plays right now in my opinion, so doing something like this with your money, a little bit better to try to do something a little more active with it, and it's fun, makes for good content. So if you guys like this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. You'll get to see these when they come back. Unfortunately, that'll be about 3 months, but when my PSA returns, I do giveaways, so be sure to follow along, enter into those, and you can get your chance to win a PSA card. Go back to my last PSA return video. I've got a PSA giveaway going there. But I appreciate you guys watching the video, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.